Hello, everybody. It has been a hot minute, and we are so excited to be back. And today we have Peter with us. Peter is joining us from Ag Drone Solutions out in Oregon, and I'm just going to pass it off to him, and he can introduce himself, and we will go from there.
Hey everyone, my name's Pete. As Brittany said, I own Ag Drone Solutions. We primarily do spraying and spreading, like most of you, as well as selling drones. And it's been fun being a part of the community. And I am really excited, in a way, to talk about my auditing experience. Which some of you, there's only been a select few, from what I understand, but we always, as an applicator, get nervous about what is an audit going to look like. So it was an honor to be asked to kind of come on and talk to you guys.
Yeah, so you jumped right into it, and how did it feel when you got the letter? Like, you received this letter, and I know it's like this dark cloud, like dun dun dun. Like,
Yeah, it was definitely like that. I was actually this year was my first year stepping into the forestry landscape with drones in the Pacific Northwest. Uh, forestry applications. You're flying on some very steep slopes with a lot of snags out in the middle of it. So, uh, you know, I was concentrating on flying, and I received this call. I didn't answer it, obviously, because I was flying. But when I landed, I also received an email saying, "Hey, Pete, this is the FAA, and we're interested in coming out and doing an audit with you." And initially, as an applicator, your heart kind of sinks a little bit, but like, oh man, now it's real. And like many applicators, I'm out in the middle of nowhere pretty much. So I thought, initially, I was never going to get that call because I'm 5 hours away from the nearest big city. But sure enough, they reached out, and it was kind of game
that's so
on from
kind of
there.
them to reach out to you.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but when I got that call, I began planning pretty quick, which that's the biggest thing about auditing is just stepping into it, not being afraid, but also getting the research all put together. So,
What does the letter say?
so that is a great question. So the audit letter essentially says that they'd like to do a public safety and compliance visit. They gave me a time and the date, and essentially that's all you get. Um, and from there, you're kind of left out there guessing on. Well, of course, we know it's going to be on the exemption that we have filed as a Part 137 pilot, and knowing that exemption fully, while also practicing and showing that you're maintaining your SOPs, uh, being a safe pilot. So, um,
So
but
just as somebody that has obviously, like, never gotten the letter before, and will probably never receive the letter, um, when you get it, would it be like, I know my biggest thing, so I'm gonna, like, put it in perspective as, like, jury duty, like, you're like, "Oh, I could have missed that letter." Like, is it possible to miss the email or the call? Do they reach back out to you? Like, could you get yourself in trouble if you're not paying attention for it?
well, so they emailed me and called me um, before they came out, and I responded pretty quickly. Now, I think there were to be an opportunity that they'd probably do multiple reach outs. They gave me about a 2 to 3 week um, time frame, which was a perfect amount. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be like that for everybody, but um, that's what I got for the buffer time.
Alright. And so you got the letter, they gave you your timeline. Are you nervous, or do you feel like you were prepared in the back end of your business to just be able to handle it?
I think as a pilot, I was prepared in general, my knowing my exemptions, knowing what I had to do, and how to do that. Now, there is always that underlining fear that you missed something. So, what I did is I reached out to industry leaders in AgriSpray, Farm-i-tude, Youth Pass, um, to get as much information for those who've gone through it before, so I can step into it with as much information. So from there, I used their information to develop my own process of being prepared. And from there, I created this lovely binder, which in the industry, you can do this all through Google if you have it online. Or I like to just have it all in paper copy, which we'll probably dive into this a little bit more. But this has been a huge, uh, having this finished takes off a whole lot of issue down the road. If you're ever to get audited, having everything lined out and in a nice little binder like this.
Do you feel like those resources that were available to you, like, readily helped you prepare, or would you have, like, changed was there holes that were missing out of information you received?
I think UPass offered a really great binder breakdown, which is what I used to essentially bring this out and make it come to fruition. Now, all of this was really developed in my processes, anyways. But when you're audited, you begin to prepare and make sure everything's checked off in your binder. So that was great to have all that information there.
And now that you've gone through it, do you feel like there was more angst than was necessary, that it was not as hard as you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I thought I was pretty nervous, to be honest with you. I worked an entire week in one of my busiest times to kind of just make sure everything was there and accounted for. Um, I run a pretty tight ship, and I like to make sure things are perfect. Um, and the binder and being prepared for questions and feeling confident walking into that was really important to me. Uh, and um, it was great it was great for it to be done. But it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be honest with you. They were here for about 2 hours.
Oh, that's
And
fairly painless.
oh, yeah, it was really painless. Obviously, they went through. I gave them my binder and said, "This is everything you need to know." And they looked through it. They asked me if general exemption questions. So, like filing your NOTAMs. Are you making sure? How do you check airspace? What's your SOP for maintenance? I think this is one big thing as applicators, making sure we're documenting how we're maintaining our equipment and how we're learning how to maintain our equipment. And that's one thing, they really want to see is that we're making the best effort forward to be responsible applicators and drone pilots.
So, take a pause from the audit just because it, kinda goes right at what do you fly? What do you do? And then we'll go back into how the audit filed into that.
Yeah, sounds good. So I started 3 years ago. I primarily my first start was flying fertilizer on cranberries out here. And that, so I started with the T40. This past year, I got a T50, and pretty soon I'll get a J150 coming in the next few weeks. And I started out fertilizing for about 2 years. I have now gone into uh, just general spraying, so a lot of herbicide on forestry and just general invasive weeds out by us. So we have a weed called gorse. If you, hopefully nobody else ever needs to find about gorse. It was brought over here from Scotland, and essentially it's this prickly little plant that grows incredibly well out in the Pacific Northwest in our little area, and it has taken over. So gorse drones are a perfect solution to fighting this invasive weed. And primarily, that's where my business is going into fighting, uh, because we can fly over it, and these bushes of gorse can be 8 to 9 feet tall, thick,
Oh, wow.
with spines, and they're just not fun. And we can go in there with herbicides and knock them back.
All right. So you kind of like funneled your way through to what your little niche is now. So I feel like you have a good general knowledge over all aspects and when somebody gets started. So now that you've gone through an audit, how has that affected the way that you've done business and how could you help prepare somebody listening to make sure that when they get their letter, there is no panic attack?
Yeah. This is so, first of all, I started, when I first started, I thought the FAA was never going to come out here, to be honest with you. Of course, if something serious did happen, that's understandable. But I thought I was not going to be dealt with. Still running legally, but, I never thought I would have to deal with an audit. So if you don't think that, if you think you're in an area that they're not going to come out, I would suggest you.
Surprise!
If you're not prepared, I would suggest taking the preparation now because more likely than not, it will be in a time of your application year that you do not want to deal with it. And it's not that scary to get through. You just need to cross your I's and dot your I's and cross your T's
I
at
was
the end
gonna
of the
let it
day.
roll, but
But so that would be one thing. Don't think it's not going to come to you. Second of all, prepare. Now's the time to prepare. Um, and third, to just continually look through your exemption, your paperwork, and always be evolving in that sense. Um, because really, we are the voice of the drone industry, the applicators, and if we show the FAA just our responsibility um, and our respect to what we are doing, things will only get better for us as an industry and as a united front.
what specifically, like as an example, what have you changed as far as your standard operating procedures go? So that way, if you got audited again, it's kind of already a system.
Well, I think I the FAA wanted to see more of how I was certifying myself to work on the drones. So that's one thing. I needed to show an SOP on, well, what videos am I looking at, or what research should I do to learn how to change out this motor, and um, how long did that job take once I did change out the motor, and did I do the uh, required test flight after that? So that's one SOP. But I created a RISE acronym, so issue responsive maintenance process. RISE, like drones, which essentially says research, inspection, service, and evaluation. So I developed this so I could show the FAA, well, when I do maintenance on my drones, this is the steps I'm going to take every time to know that I'm doing the right steps, to knowing that I'm checking safety, know that I'm checking my certifications on, like, inside the company, uh, making sure it's done right. So these are just steps in maintenance that I one example of what I changed.
Is it possible for somebody to access the checklist, for their own binder, before they even get the letter? Is there something that they can be doing to prepare now?
So one, if you want to do a binder like mine, this is the best solution. Go to UPass. If you're already seeing this, you're already a member, which is great. And there's an entire article that tells you spot by spot on what you need to print. So your operating certificate, your latest 44807, and it's going to lay out essentially every little binder stop you need to have in your own exemption binder. So your flight logs, your maintenance, your example or your printed copies of essentially your drone titles. Um, these are all really great things to get together. So you don't just have to hand them a big a pile of paper. Make the information as easy to process for the FAA as possible, because that will ease your meeting with them, because they can just go directly to the tab that they need to go. That's one thing as an applicator, and I would suggest anybody getting into the business or anybody in the business, make your binder and the information as accessible as possible for the FAA for everything they ask for. Um, Follow that list, but prepare it in a way that they can easily go through it. That way, you're not having to run to your computer and print multiple things, or having them sit at your computer. Get it all in paper, ready to go for that meeting, and do it now and not later.
Is there ever a time where the the binder needs to be a metaphorical binder and it needs to be all documented in like a Google Drive so that you can send it somewhere? Or when they come for your meeting, they're specifically looking for those things, they just need to see them and then that's it?
So if I have not been ramp checked, you can, from what I've heard, have digital copies of all of these things. Personally, I feel like both could be a very accessible way of doing this, and very doable at the end of the day. I personally like having the binder because it's physical, and I'd rather have them have the fit. I'd rather have everybody have the physical copies of everything. That way, there's no questions asked. You can show and prepare what needs to be there for them. Um, yes, you can do the digital. I prefer the physical.
And then is it like a pass fail situation on the spot at the end of your meeting? Do you know, or do you have to sit there and twiddle your thumbs for a few weeks while they come back and let you know?
So both of the agents were very kind, and we often go into this thinking, "Oh, where are they going to ding us? What did we miss out?" But both agents were very kind, and as long as you have been trying to make the best foot forward on being a responsible applicator, um, yes, they might say, "Well, I want to see you tell me more about how your process is for maintenance," or "I want to see more about how are you doing your pre-flight checks and your post-flight checks. Um, Also, how are you cleaning the drone?" These are just a few examples of that could come up. Um, and when you're out in the field, maybe you're not thinking all the time about this stuff, but these are questions and things that the FAA wants to see us processing and developing um, the right way in their eyes.
Do they give you time to fix things, or is it all just paperwork?
So they do give you time to come up with solutions. Um, I had a maintenance SOP I needed to develop a little bit more, predominantly showing how I was learning to do certain things on the drone. So I developed the SOP and I developed the tracking on my own log to show the videos that I was watching, as well as um, making sure that I was showing the date of when I was doing the post flight on the maintenance stuff. So
So in the meeting, are they more concerned about, and this is again just my own ignorance of not understanding, are they more concerned about the conversation of asking you a question like interview style, or more concerned with you having all your ducks in a row on paper?
they would like to see you have your ducks in the row on the paper. First of all, knowing your stuff. The questions were not nearly as bad as I thought they were going to be. Uh, yes, no, is predominantly how that audit conversation went. And um, they want to just look at your paperwork at the end of the day. And that's why, again, I like the paper binder situation. You bring that to them, they can know where they need to go in the quickest fashion forward. And there's no like clicking or double clicking or which window do I need to go to. It's here it is. This is what you have. This is what I provided for you, and that's great.
And say, let's go completely hypothetical on the other end of the pendulum. Say they get there and none of your ducks are in a row, and it's a complete hot mess express of trying to figure out what papers are there, what checklist items are there, not there, and it's just kind of chaos. What does a fail look like? Like, what happens if you fail?
You know, I would estimate on the good side that they would offer a lot of suggestions on getting right. Um, but I'm hoping that after this conversation, that we don't have many failures as an industry. And if anyone after watching this video needs somebody to talk through what they might see, or even if they want to see my own binder, I would be more than apt to help somebody work through that. Because they just want to see you're stepping into the responsibility of a remote pilot as authentically and responsibility as possible. Hopefully, this is a good warning for those of us in the industry who might be struggling to get on the same page with this situation, that it's time. Now is the time, not later.
Once you've been audited, clearly you can be audited again, correct?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's very possible. So um, always be prepared. Always be prepared, and just make sure you're doing it right. And so it can happen again. And as of right now, I go at it like it could happen tomorrow too.
So
And
is it
that,
completely random? Could it literally happen, like, back to back like that? Or is it kinda like a certification that, you're good for 2 years, and then maybe you might be back on the radar?
I hope I'm good for 2 years, but you know, it could happen at any point, and I think that's uh, just part of the show.
2 years seems like just enough time for you to start to get lax in your SOP, for them to just, like, peek their heads back up and be like, "We're back."
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. I know we've touched on it in kind of a couple different directions, but go back. If something is missing off of the checklist, or is there anything that was brought up that wasn't on the checklist that you wish was on the checklist, to give people advice on other things that were asked that they should have prepared?
So the checklist generally is really great. The biggest thing is building out your maintenance aspect of the company. We're all doing maintenance on our own drones for the most part, as a Part 137. So knowing when you're working on your drone, um, and how you learned how to do it, post flight, those are a few big things. Um, that I would suggest. That was a big issue for me. Not a big issue.
I
I
mean, you
should.
passed, so it wasn't a
Yeah. So
huge
I mean, it wasn't a
failure.
big issue, but it is something that came up. Um, and other than that, you just got to track your flight logs. You got to track your NOTAMs, all of that stuff that we're already doing. So if you're doing things correctly, this will not be a scary situation. And even if there are some things that you go into and you discover, oh shoot, I should have done this differently, the FAA is willing to work with you as long as it's not a big situation. Um, they were very kind and cordial with me, and have worked to add suggestions to my own systems, and I think that's really great.
Is there a possibility of, um like, just losing your license, or do you just like, would you have to just be so careless to, like, just not care to fix things?
You know, I I think on the audit, like I think you'd have to be pretty far gone to make
Yeah.
a situation. But again, having yourself prepared for this is a lot better than being unprepared. So now if they show up and you're like, I don't have anything for you, this is where I'm at right now. I don't think it will go very well. Um, I think it would be a very long day. Um,
So, basically, at the end of this, you're gonna link, the Amazon link for your binder for everybody, right? And we're all gonna start on our checklist tonight. So it's not scary for anybody.
I wish it was that way, but I think there's a lot of great resources out there. And as an applicator, as long as you're doing your exemption, um, and you have everything you need, it's just getting things lined out so when that happens, you can sleep at night. Um, I think that was the biggest thing. I remember a year ago thinking it was never going to happen to me, and it did. And now the thought of another audit is not as scary as it once was. Um, just because it's done and it's over with, and I know what to expect. Um, and that feels good.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing. I feel like now anybody listening also knows exactly what to expect. It's I love being able to do like a podcast on such a small like topic, because I feel like now everybody's very very familiar, and so with the process, with the scary parts, with receiving the letter, is there anything else that we didn't cover that sticks out in your mind that you would like to give advice on to anybody else with a future audit?
I think we have a great community all the way around in ag drones, and we have the unique ability to learn off of each other. And I want to continue to encourage all of us to band together and help each other rise up as a united front, because we have such a unique ability to do that. And the auditing being repaired, we can help each other all develop in a strong way that promotes safety, promotes right application, and helps the FAA see just how great of an opportunity we have as remote pilots in the ag sector to really build up our industry, to make that more of a positive atmosphere for the FAA and for the public in general. I think it's going to be a great thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge with us today. And I'm sure we will have you back on the podcast again, just so you can go over your next audit when they come back in a couple weeks. And you're all. So thank you. Thanks again, Peter. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, you too as well. Thank you.